Hi all, in today's video I'm going to be discussing where we are now, where we were 10 years ago, changes, and really whether we are feeling down, feeling like a failure in terms of our health, in terms of our fitness. I'll give you an example. You could be starting out your fitness journey, or you could have been on your fitness journey 15 years ago, and 10 years ago you competed, and now you're at a place where you've got less muscle mass, more fat. You're not obese or overweight, but in comparison to the competition you entered, you've got more fat mass. You don't look like you used to look, or you don't look like how you want to look. If you're just starting out, you might be later in your years, you could be in your early 20s, whatever it is. So tune into this video because I'm going to discuss this, and it's really important because this is going to help you rebalance your self-worth and really see why you may not be where you want to be in a different way than being a failure or getting too old or just being a beginner. Let's dive in. I had a client come to me, and 10 years ago they had a lot more muscle mass. They were at a lower fat percentage. Now they've got less muscle mass. And a lot of what they were saying is, I've gone backwards. And I asked that question, I questioned that further, and I said, what do you mean by backwards? Although I understood what the person meant, which is now my client, because I've been there, and it was basically based upon social media, based upon comparisons. And this could be comparisons of social media, comparisons of people, comparisons of your previous selves. And I then dived into it a little bit deeper, because with me being a coach and a lifestyle coach and an advanced personal trainer, I knew where the person was coming from, and I needed to sort of get them to realign with understanding why they might not look how they used to look. And as opposed to seeing themselves at a higher fat mass, as opposed to see themselves as going backwards, and as opposed to seeing themselves as a failure, a refocus. What do I mean by that? The fitness industry has so many comparisons. Comparisons to your previous selves. Comparison is inevitable to work on yourself. But if you're comparing yourself to yourself 10 years ago, or you're comparing yourself to your future self, and you're at the beginning, that can get really depressing. You can feel like you're a failure. You can feel like you've gone backwards. But you've actually grown, or you're at a different stage in life where you could be going through a breakup, you could be going through a job loss, you could be going through an injury, which either sets you back or sets a keyword, your priorities differently. The idea of focus on yourself is really look at what is important to your life. If it is important to you to get leaner, stronger, fitter than where you are now, or back to where you was, then perfect, because you can do it. But don't allow the comparison of you're shorter, he's taller, so he can have a better physique for competing. It's not to tell yourself those things that you see on social media. Or if you're a female, like you're a lean body type, you will never have the curves. If you're a female who's curvy, you will not be able to lose the wide hip structure or lose the large breasts, no matter what you do. It's really about, as long as you're living your life aligned with your values, you're exactly where you need to be. As we go forward, whether we're beginning or whether we're at a different stage in our journey 10 years along the line, your values would have changed. For example, 10 years ago, you competed. Now you might be married with kids. Are you going to be able to sit and go through that lot of time, energy, and lack of energy, mood, and give time to your family, as well as meal prep, go to work, do everything? It's a lot easier when maybe you're single and you've got no responsibilities, or you've got not people around you. Forget how you might find it challenging in terms of socializing, building friends, going out, having time for those things. But your value has changed. And so maybe you find that your value is not having a six-pack, all right? Your value is working out 4 times a week, maintaining and balancing. And I have a video on maintaining phase. You know, I'm going to get my phone out to write this. I'm going to see if I can find it. How to remain in maintenance phase and know you're doing well in maintenance phase. So I'm going to link that as well for you to check that out. But social media pressures you into having to look and perform a certain way for you to be accepted. And more than for you to be accepted or seen in a way on social media, for you to accept yourself, you might be putting this front up on social media, but what is it doing to yourself? I think I mentioned this in a video recently where I stated about, I'd seen a fitness model who they were taking photos, a photo shoot time for her, and they actually had the silicone breast implants put in her leggings to lift her butt up. And she was taking a photo shoot in the gym. So imagine you compare yourself to that person. You've got no idea that is there, and you're comparing yourself to this person. More than that, this lady or this female then takes, obviously she'll have to take it out, go home. How do you feel when you're needing to add things in? Eventually it does come to your self-confidence and self-esteem. You know, I'm not able to get the butt, I don't have a good enough butt, etc., etc. And you are able to get the butt, just work with a good coach. So it leaves you chasing fitfluencers you see on your explore feed, getting depressed when you put on a perfectly healthy amount of body fat, because you aren't supposed to be the lean person all year round. It's not healthy, especially as well if you're a female. It's not healthy for males and females, but if you're a female and you might lose your menstrual cycle, and going without your menstrual cycle for quite some time is not the healthiest things. If you feel like you've gone backwards by comparison to others and comparison to yourselves, and if you feel like you're not where you want to be because you're comparing your current stage, whether you're a beginner starting out, to a future version of someone else, you probably have not gone backwards at all. because like I said, there's a lot of deception, and people tend to show their best versions. Have you ever seen where you're following a fitfluencer or influencer or a fitness model or an Instagram influencer, whatever social media platform it is, and they suddenly have time out? That time out is because they're going through a phase in their life and they need that breakaway. And more than that, they probably feel like they cannot show their true version of themselves. They feel like they are not able to show that they're going through a phase in their life where maybe they're not looking their best, they're not at their best mental game, they're not at their leanest, or how you know them on social media. But that is human. And when you see that happening, then you now have an inkling that actually they're not showing their best version themselves. They feel that they can't turn up on social media. This is the majority, it might not be all, and you can then know, this is similar to what I've just been through. And I was pulling myself apart because maybe I gained 5 pounds to 5 kilos. Maybe I'm not at a body fat percentage of 8 if you're a male. And it's okay, because it's likely that this person is going through that phase. And I'm sure that that can cause so much anxiety as well. I'm trying to be very careful in what I say, because I'm trying to express this from very different polarized views. I think I need some coffee. That whether you're at a beginner, whether you're at a certain phase in your life, and whether you're comparing yourself to others on social media, or to a past version of yourself, or to a beginner version of yourself versus a future version, which might be the fit influence on social media. Look at what you are focused on in terms of your values. If you are now in more alignment of your life and where you know what your values are in terms of your life, then that is you living more or less in the best version of yourselves. Because when we're not aligned with our priorities of values, of what really speak to us in our lives, that impacts us in the long run. Initially, you might feel, okay, great, because I'm, showing up as this person, etc., etc. But it does take away from other areas of your life. So just going back to this client, okay. When they said they'd gone backwards because of the comparisons that I identified, I allowed the client to speak. And yes, they don't have the same muscle size as they did 10 years ago. But when we came to the end of the discussion, they realized that they don't necessarily want it, because what they would have to forego is their values and where they've actually developed and got to in life. So, for example, they started nurturing themselves and looking after themselves. They had time to balance out their relationships with their friendships, loved ones, family. They had more time to invest into a passionate creative business and also other styles of training. They had some time to explore, sometimes doing mobility training, conditioning training. I've got a video on that, on training programs around conditioning, which is different to strength training. You can check that out in the physical fitness playlist. And what we got to is they enjoy weightlifting 3-4 times a week and working on athletic skills, running and calisthenics on other days of the week. And 10 years ago, they couldn't run. They would just walk as their cardio. They're able to actually communicate effectively. They have better relationships, and they are seeing that they're positively impacting others around them in their work. By the areas of life that they've gained experience in, like being able to communicate. You know, the way we communicate with others is very important, and they can see the difference in that. They can see that now they can run. They can see that they're able to have these relationships. They're able to go out and have a balanced meal with a friend. They're able to socialize. While it might be possible to do all those things with the size of muscles and leanness 10 years ago, they realized that it would be a minimal, and that would not be of interest to them anymore. I said to the client, and what I would say to you is, that's perfect. It doesn't mean that you have to stay in that momentum either. It might be in a couple of years you're like, you know what, I want to compete. I want to go, I'm now in my 40s, for example, I want to compete. I'm now in my 20s, and I feel like I want to try this competition right now, and I'm happy to jeopardize or forsake some of the things that might be out of balance, because my value right now and my priority is to compete. I've got a video on things to think of if you're thinking to compete, but that's just an example. And as long as it's in line with your values and what you feel is your purpose, then your priority to do that will be correct. Why you want to do it, what would be the outcome of that for you. Life isn't a race against others, and life isn't a race against your future or your past self. It's a journey with yourself. And so that's why if you're looking to compete, it's the journey of seeing a different lifestyle, of seeing challenge, of getting through that challenge. And it's about keeping it real. And it's about feeling that you're living in line with your values and your purpose and who you truly are. It's really important, because when you live as who you truly are, you don't allow external things to negatively impact your self-image, your body image, your self-worth, your confidence, your esteem, and you're aligned with what you want to do. You're aligned with what you believe your belief system is, and then you're aligned with your mind, body, and soul. And so I carefully went through this. I hope it spoke to someone out there, especially if you're feeling like this right now. And if it did, let me know in the comments. Let me know the takeaways that you're gonna get from this, or you're taking away from this. Maybe it's refocused you. This client is a client of mine now, where we're doing several different things. So I'm doing a strength training day with them. We're doing, the cardio is left on the side, but I'm doing a high intensity day with them, and also some calisthenics. So that's where their goal has changed, but that's just to give them the momentum to get into those different trainings where they've been trying to do it alone, but sometimes you just need that accountability coach with you, and also just to where you need maybe more than an extra push, some tips. So, and the client came away feeling a lot better. I totally understood, because I've been here. I hope this spoke to you. I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and do take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in our next video.